Hello, and welcome back to Read the Coverage Sports. Today we're going to be taking a look at the recent Dallas Cowboys acquisition, defensive end Aldon Smith. Let's get into it. Alright, April 28th, 2011. Smith is drafted out of Missouri by the 49ers at number 7 overall, 5 picks over Von Miller and 4 picks ahead of J.J. Watt. In 2011, Smith did not start a game, but was used as a situational pass rusher, finishing with 14 sacks in 16 games. January 27, 2012, 5 days after the 49ers lose the NFC title game at home to the New York Giants in overtime, Smith is arrested on suspicion of driving under the influence in Miami Beach, Florida. 2012 season, Smith started all 16 games and finished with 19.5 sacks, one fewer than league leader and defensive player of the year, J.J. Watt, and one more than Von Miller. This included 5.5 sacks versus the Chicago Bears in Week 11. Smith is also named to the first-team All-Pro team. September 20th, 2013, Smith is arrested on suspicion of DUI after crashing his truck into a tree in a residential neighborhood in San Jose, California. He plays 2 days later in a 27-7 loss to the Indianapolis Colts and has a sack. Smith then checks himself into a rehab and misses the Niners' next 5 games. October 29th, 2013. Before returning to the Niners, Smith turns himself in on 3 felony counts of possessing illegal assault weapons after a 2012 party at his house in which investigators said several shots were fired. April 13th, 2014. Smith is arrested on suspension of making false bomb threats at Los Angeles International Airport, though charges were not filed. August 30th, 2014, Smith is given a 9-game suspension by the NFL for violations of the league's personal conduct policy and substance abuse policy. August 6th, 2015, Smith is arrested on hit and run, DUI, and vandalism charges on the 49ers' first off day of training camp. August 7th, 1 day later, Smith is released by the Niners. September 11th, 2015, Smith is signed by the Raiders despite the likelihood of another league-imposed suspension coming. He appears in 9 games, 7 starts with Oakland, and has 3.5 sacks in his last 6 games. November 17th, 2015, Smith is suspended by the NFL for a year for violating the NFL policy and program for substance abuse stemming from the August incident. April 4th, 2016, despite being suspended, Smith is signed by the Raiders to a 2-year contract that will not pay him until he is reinstated by the league. November 7th, 2016, Smith's 1-year suspension remains in effect and is now considered indefinite. The weekend of February 11th, 2017, Smith is mentioned in a report taken by the San Francisco Police Department, and TMZ Sports says it was a domestic-related investigation, though no arrests were made. March 10th, 2017, Smith is detained by the San Francisco Police Department as he was a passenger in a car that ran into a police cruiser. Police said a woman was driving, a passenger was cooperative at the scene and released at the time, and a second passenger, an adult man, was detained for public intoxication and should be released when he is sober. Smith was later seen emerging from the police station later that afternoon. March 4th, 2018, Smith is sought by San Francisco Police Department in relation to an alleged domestic violence incident in San Francisco, with the alleged victim suffering from bite marks on the wrists, and Smith having reportedly drank 2 bottles of tequila before fleeing the scene. Smith's fiancée later says Smith has checked himself into a rehab, while the San Francisco Police Department says it is still interested in talking with him. March 5th, 2018, Smith is released by the Raiders, citing the Raiders' zero tolerance in regards to domestic abuse. March 6, 2018, Smith turns himself into San Francisco police and was booked on domestic violence charges. He is being held on $30,000 bond on misdemeanor charges of willful infliction of corporal injury, assault with force likely to produce great bodily injury, false imprisonment, and vandalism. And then finally, April 1st, 2020, Smith has agreed to a 1-year deal with the Dallas Cowboys that is worth up to $4 million. Now, despite that date, this isn't an April Fool's joke. This is a real signing by the Cowboys. Smith is signed to a contract well above a veteran minimum, while still remaining suspended by the NFL. Obviously, the Cowboys are confident that due to the new language in the CBA, Aldon will probably have a pretty decent shot of being reinstated by the NFL. but this is pretty par of the course for what the Cowboys have done in the past if they've gambled on troubled players, particularly on the defensive side of the football, such as Greg Hardy, Rolando McClain, Adam Pac-Man-Jones, and the currently suspended Randy Gregory. Aldon applied for reinstatement for the league office last month. He's not played in the NFL since mid-November 2015, and Dallas Cowboys have just recently let Robert Quinn walk in free agency. So there's a definitely hole to fill, and then Aldon will be reunited with the former head coach Jim Tomsula, who is the current Cowboys defensive line coach. In his prime, Smith was about as dominant as a defensive player as you could find in the NFL, comparable to a Von Miller and a J.J. Watt. Hall of Fame type caliber careers. So you can definitely see the potential in a signing of a roll-the-dice type prospect like Aldon Smith, but let's be real, he's not played in 5 years. We have no idea what this guy is anymore. We don't know what he looks like, we don't know if he's in shape, if he can get back in shape, if he still has the explosion, if he still has all the skills that made him such a spectacular player at the beginning of his career. And then with the COVID-19 situation that we're in right now, doctors can't even take a look at him, teams can't even physically take a look at this guy. This is all just a speculatory signing, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Fortunately, it's not a guaranteed contract, so if he doesn't end up getting reinstated by the NFL or things don't work out, he gets in trouble again, he can get cut, and the Cowboys are saved from having to really just, eat face with this signing. Personally, I'm all for giving players second chances, but this is going on to the third shot for this guy. How many chances do you get? And this is different than, let's say a Josh Gordon, which his issues are off the field, yes, but his issues are also related to smoking weed. He's not getting charged with domestic violence abuse. He's not getting charged with DUI. He's not getting charged with possessions of weapons and things like that. Josh Gordon's transgressions are really minor, and so I can get over those a lot easier than I could with someone like Aldon Smith, who consistently, it's different things. It's not always the same things. Domestic violence is a huge issue in the NFL. It's been addressed before, and it's been dealt with on varying degrees. Granted, charges ultimately, I believe, were dropped and they were pled out of court and everything like that with Aldon Smith. But these are still real issues, and I have a problem with this guy getting this opportunity again. And it just really goes to show you in the NFL, as long as you're talented, supremely talented, you'll get a shot. Unless your name's Colin Kaepernick.